We're very encouraged with the participation. Today we have another very exciting session. I have lots of information and I would try to cover it in about an hour's time, and hopefully we'll have some question answer session based on how we are doing with the time. With that, this is today's session is on Financial Planning 101. Our motto is simple. We have to do the financial education to secure our future. And with this financial education, the hope is that no family is left behind. Most important disclaimer, this is purely for the educational purposes, and no information mentioned in this should be taken as any suggestion or guideline to do any investments or any of the other financial decisions. Please do talk to your financial advisor or talk to us for a one-on-one consultation or anything. This is purely for the educational purposes. Now, this is me for those of you who are joining for the first time. My name is Azad, Chandrasekhar Azad. I did my MBA from Hyderabad, India, and I did double major in computers. I'm a fellow of Insurance Institute of India, and I have extensive experience in insurance IT field. For the last few years, I'm a full-timer with real estate and financial services provider. I live in San Ramon. With that, we come to today's session. Now, the mission for all of us is financial education for all. The slogan, as I mentioned earlier, is leave no family behind financially. Now, look around. Those of you who are doing well in IT field, thanks to the stock market doing very well, but most of the people are losing jobs. Macroeconomic indicators are bad, so people are accumulating too much of liabilities and too much of debt. And added to that, the families are underprotected in terms of life or long-term care or any number of other criteria. Now, one of the challenges that all of us are facing is we are changing jobs too frequently, and thereby the opportunity to build a solid financial foundation and future and building wealth is missing. Moreover, when you are changing too many jobs, you are not contributing consistently to your retirement accounts, and that is also adding to the problem. In addition, we are living longer and longer. So as we live longer, there comes a challenge how we are going to finance our long retirement life.
Other there is a 10-second latency on the YouTube channel. So
okay. I got it. Okay, I will modulate. So these are the questions that every family should ask ourselves. Now, are we saving enough, investing enough? Are we having a proper financial plan? Do we have a proper financial education, or we just take advice from friends and family? Okay, this is an exotic stock, or this is what you got to go and buy a property there based on. And what about your overall planning? Like, are you in a good shape to retire as per your plan? Whenever your retirement is, what happens if you're going to retire in a downturn like 2008 bear market or what do you call recession? And what kind of taxation you are going to, tax implications are you going to have? These are the different topics, different what do you call issues that we all have to face. These questions we need to ask. Now, here is what it is. Do your financial health check at least once a year. Now, all of us are, what do you call, we do have our financial, meaning physical health check once a year. And if you're not doing that, you do need to do that. But financial health check once a year, are we doing even once in 5 years or even once in 10 years? We know that we have a 401k, which is on autopilot. We know that we have a primary home, but there are so many other aspects that we are not aware because we do not sit and take stock of things. That is what the purpose of this series of lectures, series of webinars is going to be. Open that, what do you call, side, have some kind of insight into these different areas. It is just going to be tip of the iceberg, but once you are curious enough to know more, you will do hopefully much better. Now, what are the factors that determine our security of our financial future? Of course, we all know that education can be a huge part. With education, with the better education, we have better opportunities. And it is up to us to educate ourselves, not necessarily a college degree per se, but different aspects of education. And the opportunities, whether it is college graduate provided opportunities from different companies, or are you entrepreneurial enough to find opportunities wherever you go, whenever, when you look around? So that makes a huge deal, because that determines the wealth we are building over a period of time. And our future depends on the wealth we are building, whether that wealth is going to take care of our retirement needs when we stop earning, when we stop building. Now, the environment that we are living in, environment can be the country, the state, and even the local cities. For example, you know that there is healthcare 100% provided by some of the countries in Western Europe and Canada. So that can be a huge burden if you do not have one. Within United States, for example, it can determine whether you're living in a state like California or some other state where you are more on your own. Within California itself, cities like San Francisco are much more like so-called taking care of friendly cities to live in, wherein they are promised to provide healthcare to most of their citizens. So the environment can be a big factor. But then there are other aspects like any other, your own family and friend support network, and taxes. That is going to be huge, which will determine how much of wealth we are going to build and how much of it we are going to keep. Uncertainty is the biggest thing. Nobody saw a COVID-19 coming. We were chugging along entire universe as if it was perfectly doing okay. And then COVID-19 happens. Nobody foresaw that. And 6 months down the line now, the whole world is trying to grapple with the problem on how to tackle it, how to find a solution. So that uncertainty can be a huge deal. So is our plan accommodating, foreseeing that these kind of uncertainties, whether man-made or otherwise? Then how long we are going to live and how healthy a life we are going to live can determine how secure our financial future is. So all these things can be secured with solid planning, which we all put in, and how we execute that plan. The purpose of this is to give some kind of education and insight into how to do that. Now, wealth obviously can be built only with the money that is left after all our expenses. A question for people, because it's a webinar style, I may not be able to ask you interactively, but when I ask this, or many web sessions and other presentations I've done, I ask each and every family, that audience, what is the number one expense for your family? Almost 90-95% people say that is housing. A couple of people say education or medical, but not 1% of the audience or respondents said taxes. Not 1%, I said. Why? Because taxes have become stealth. They are in a stealth mode. When our income is coming into it is already, whatever income tax is already deducted and we have paid the balance. When we pay for any stuff and that we are buying, the sales tax is already included, so we don't even recognize that. And when we are building wealth, capital gains, we may do it once a year, so it is not on top of our heads. For that matter, even when we pass away, there's a huge taxation of 40%. If your wealth is above 23 million today, just in 2018, it was 11 millions, 5.5 per each individual. For family, couple, it is $11 million. Trump's Job and Tax Cut Act increased it to $23 million. Now, Come 2026, if Congress does not act, it is going to go away. Actually, Joe Biden, who is leading the polls by about 15 percentage of points today, has already announced his plan. As per that plan, many of the tax cuts may roll back because there are other things that we need to pay for. Why is this important for us, all of us? Okay, that's fine. That is some external, okay, whatever they're doing. Because the wealth I'm building is dependent on the amount of money I save. The amount of money I save is dependent on all my expenses. Major chunk of it is taxes. So we got to plan for it. Am I advocating not paying taxes? No way. Taxes are must necessary for anything, you name it. Civilized society, the roads, infrastructure, you name it. But then I want to pay my fair share, not because I lack education, I pay too much of it. That's all the message is. Now, where are these taxes going? Again, one more question when I ask the audience or the participants, do you know what was the maximum tax rate in the history of United States? Most people go around 45, 50. So that shows that we don't remember or we are not aware of it. Look at this. Back in 1945, when we were coming out of Second World War and the Great Recession, the federal tax, income tax rate was as high as 94%. Why? Because we are coming out of Great Depression and all those expenses related to the Great War. So the lawmakers had courage or no, obviously nowhere to go other than keep the taxes so high. But anyway, those tax rate was for people earning about 200,000. That is equivalent to, in today's money, about $20 million. Even assuming $20 million is a big money today, but even then, that's a huge deal, about 94%. But look at this gray mountain. That is the obligations of the government. That is how much money that needs to be needed for defense, Medicare, Social Security, you name it. Now, the question is, in the last 3 decades, there is an inverse correlation happening. The need for money is going up, but the taxes, I mean, the internal debt obligations of the federal government, but whereas the tax rate, with the money that is coming in, is going down, meaning tax rate. Now, in the last just 12 years, look at this. Last 12 years, basically, when Obama was in power, the internal debt was about $8 trillion. This one's about April 4th, April 22nd, the internal debt, this is from the US debt clock, was about $24 trillion. So in about 12 years, it tripled. But look at this. Thanks to COVID, government has committed about $6 trillion as of today, and more is already in the works. So based on that, within 2 months, the $2 trillion was added. Based on what is in plans, by the end of this year, it is expected to be about $30 trillion, 28 to $30 trillion. Now, the simple question is, where is the money going to come from to pay for all these obligations, for this accumulation of debt? If I am not paying, my sons or grandsons will have to pay. That means our quality of life will have to be. So on one hand, this is a huge challenge. What is that I can do as an individual to protect my debt obligation, my tax obligations? That is where we need to have some kind of a plan wherein there's a portion of wealth that we need to build which is not impacted by this high tax regime that is going to come in. Now, any plan that we come up with to build a great wealth or to secure our future will have to address these basic needs or these financial needs. First and foremost, I do need to have an emergency fund. This slide we are saying, it says 3 to 6 months, but I, being a little more conservative, I say it anywhere from 6 to 12 months because times are changing. Finding jobs can take a longer than what it used to be. Mortgage. We are accumulating higher and higher mortgages, but again, thanks to the current environment, the mortgage rates are lower. So you need to plan for and have a what do you call proper mortgage plan in place. If you are in a high debt, high interest rates, this is the best time to refi and all. Basically, this you should be aware of these things. And then, what about your kids? College planning or education? That is a huge deal that we need to have a plan. My retirement plan. How is my retirement? Basically, in retirement, how much of income is needed? What are my expenses going to be? We need to understand that. Once we know how much expenses are, and once we know what is the likely income based on the trend analysis that we need to do as a part of the health check we do, then we know that there may be a gap, or we have to address the question of higher taxes. So our plan should include all this. What about health insurance? What about disability insurance? Most people in retirement think that, okay, there is a Medicare that will take care of everything. Not true. Medicare covers about 80% of certain expenses, but the gap of 20%, whether it is for hospital charges, whether it is for physician charges, or whether for prescription medicine charges, we need to take additional insurance. That Medigap insurance itself today's cost, it is going to cost about $800 for expensive based on your income. Now, there is another thing what is called a long-term care. If one is hospitalized for long-term, more than 100 days, Medicare is not going to cover. A lot of people are not even aware of that. So that's where we need to know what is there in future so that we plan for. Life insurance, long-term care, estate planning. These are the different areas that your financial plan should cover. Now, life is all about managing risk. This one, we call it X curve or wealth curve. What do you mean by wealth curve and managing the risk? Normally, the concept is from young, when we are out of the college, when we are fresh, new employees or newly married couples, to by the time we are old, we are building wealth. Normally, that's the case. But during our lifetime, there are different risks that are coming with life. Say, for example, when you buy a new home, brand new home, it has a risk, financial risk, whether a fire insurance, a danger or something else. So the fire insurance, lender is insisting on an insurance coverage. So we are aware. When we buy a car, we know that it costs money. So we automatically take a car insurance. Government also insists that there is a liability that you need to protect, because somebody hit by you should not be out of luck because you do not have an insurance or you do not have enough money to pay for that. So we are forced to cover that risk. And similarly, your medical coverage, most of us are aware. So we do take medical insurance, or the employer provides it. So when we are young, we are aware of this, some of these risks. As we grow in life, our kids are out of the books, and then you may pay off all your debts and liabilities, and you are accumulating some wealth. But we are not able to see into the future that there are some risks that are coming up. What are they? Your health is a huge deal. And taxes, if you build good amount of wealth, you will have to account for, based on what a couple of slides back I showed, there is a huge tax liability that is in store. So how are you going to manage those risks? So we need to plan for them now, otherwise it will be too late. Now, this is what a general stats of households of United States. We are talking about financial wealth, securing our future and all. We know where we are in this spectrum. So what is our plan to move to the next level? Do we have a plan? So with education, that is what it is. A few basic concepts in order to build wealth and secure our future. This is called a rule of 72. This is nothing but a quick way of knowing how long it will take for our money to double. Basically, you divide 72 with the rate of return you get will give the number of years the money takes to double. Now, how much of money, what is the rate of return I'm getting in a checking account? Almost zero. Maybe savings account, 1%. So at 10,000 in, saved in a checking or savings accounts, 1%, will take 72 years to double. Whereas if I go the route of maybe some kind of a whole life policy or some CDs, nobody is giving 4%. But if you're able to get that, it takes about 18 years. So that takes about from 10,000 invested at 29 will become 40,000 by the age 65. You are able to make a little better, about 12%. The same 10,000 can become 640,000. It is not that I'm showing some numbers, just okay, some big numbers. The concept here is very simple. It is consistent compound nature of wealth building that builds great wealth. There should not be losses, and we should have the discipline to invest consistently so that we build that great wealth. I believe Einstein said the greatest thing mankind has discovered or invented is not any exotic scientific theories, but a simple concept called compound interest. Diligently, year after year, if you're able to get that without losing in the great, crashes or otherwise, you will be able to build great wealth. Now, in addition to knowing that, we also should know how to manage our risks. Assume I get 40% return this year, but next year, if I'm going to lose about 20%, people will think that, okay, you are still better off 20% compared to a person who is getting 10%. But mathematically, if you see that a person who is getting 40% and losing 20%, mathematically is lower than a person consistently getting 10%. Put it other way around. If you get 50% appreciation and next year 50% down, then you think the loss is actually zero, but mathematically you are negative. Or other way of looking at it is if you lose 50% this year, $100 becoming $50, next year in order to become same $100, you need to grow 100%, not 50%. Now, a lot of people, okay, this is a challenge for most of us, for people who are lucky enough to have great jobs, both people working, money is not a problem, great. You need to find good vehicles consistently to invest. But people who have with 2 kids and responsibilities and a tight budget, the complaint is, I don't have the money to build wealth. This one debunks that. Building wealth is basically a mindset. It's a conscious choice that I want to build wealth. It is not that it happens automatically. That conscious choice has certain, steps that we need to take. If I am addicted to that chai latte once or twice, which I'm burning about $5 to $10, this one shows that at $10 invested diligently for 30 years can make you $500,000 for one person. 2 people close to 900K. Am I saying we should not have simple things in life? No, what I'm saying is you enjoy the life, but if you want to build wealth, if that little enjoyment is what is all that you have, you don't have a great cash flow, probably there needs to be some sacrifices made in order to build a long-term wealth. Or you increase your cash flow, or you reduce your cash burn rate. There has to be a way that you need to find that additional money in order to invest consistently, cumulatively over a long period of time to build that great wealth. Now, one more message is this. Okay, I will build it later on. Today I don't have, maybe 5 years down the line. Look at the value of the time. 2 identical twins. Both of them got the jobs at the same time, but the concept-wise, those 2 individuals are different. The first one said, okay, I want to invest right off the bat. He invested $2,000 from age 22 to age 27, a total of about, how much is that? $12,000. His twin cousin, identical twin, he said, come on, I need to enjoy my life. That $2,000 I will postpone. But in order to get same kind of return, just by postponing those 6 years, he had to invest $70,000 to get the same return. That is almost 5 times or 6 times. That is the power of money. I mean, compounding, that's the power of time. Now, what are the challenges to have a secure retirement? There are lots of challenges. Some of these are here. How safe is our nest egg that we are building? Am I having enough growth? Is it much better than the inflation? And is it going to have, are we going to have lower tax regime that we have today, or it's going to change and become a higher tax regime? And what about the amount of time I'm going to live? My nest egg, based on the 4% withdrawal recommended, is it going to last 30 years or 5 years or 10 years? What if there are huge bear valleys? These are the different challenges that all of us have to understand. Now, traditionally, we had here in the United States a very strong system. After the Great Depression, lawmakers, all the leaders, they put their heads together, we came up with Social Security. Companies were giving, governments were giving pension, and then people were saving themselves. So the 3-leg stool, very stable. Companies were, governments were responsible to give that pension with inflation adjustment, so that the cost of inflation, basically living costs, are adjusted in the pension. All that people have to do is find a good job, work there for 30, 35 years, and then automatically whatever needed to be is deducted by the companies. The pension funds are supposed to be funded well, and then year after year, you are guaranteed to get a pension income. In addition, Social Security was there. And in addition, if you are saved well, perfect. Starting in 1980s, there was some obscure rule somewhere in IRS code, Internal Revenue Code, which was called 401k, which said that companies incidentally can escape the liability and responsibility of pensions if they contribute a little bit to the employees, give in their salaries, in their right off the bat. So if employees are saving at an X amount, you give them that right then, so that you do not have to carry in your books the future liability, which nobody knows how it is going to be. So it started as a trigger, and now it has become a norm. Absolutely across the board, pensions have disappeared except in government agencies, whether federal or state, and maybe a few big, huge private companies. Otherwise, it virtually. What does that mean? That means individuals, whether your education is undergrad or 10th grade or whatever, you are expected to be a financial expert, looking into the future, trying to understand the concepts of risk, inflation, the future growth that is needed, and all those things, and build your nest egg in such a way that it lasts forever. That is a huge challenge. And Social Security itself, thanks to the long life that we are living, is in danger. In 1930s, when Social Security was instituted, average lifespan was 67. So they said 62, you are eligible. And 5 years, it's no problem. More people who are coming into the workforce, and we can comfortably fund, no problem. But today we are couples living together. Women are expected to live all the way to 92. Men are expected to live about 87. And we are retiring, making a Social Security eligible at 62. Even the full pension, Social Security at age 65, will still be falling short. And less number of people are coming into workforce, more are retiring. As a result, based on the Social Security Trust Fund, is expected to exhaust, meaning money should come in order to pay, and they will be able to pay only about 70% of guaranteed benefits if nothing is changed, meaning retirement age stays same, and the amount of contribution or high percentage wise, there are no new payroll taxes and all. Added to that, look at the COVID situation. companies who are given a holiday on payroll taxes. So where is the money going to come from? So those are the challenges right now we are faced with. So it is absolutely a must that all of us educate ourselves, not just ourselves, but our kids and people around us, friends, family, everywhere. There should be a healthy discussion about what is our plan going to be and whether I have enough income in my retirement to take care of all my needs. Did I cover all my bases, whether foreseen or unforeseen? Now, as part of that planning is the financial foundation. Now, a lot of people jump right off. What is a finance? Stocks. Stocks is the most riskiest. And does it mean I'm saying no to it? No, the great wealth building can happen there. But what happens if I don't protect myself? I do all these, build these castles and big plans, and tomorrow I'm hit by a bus and gone. All those plans are gone. So first and foremost, ensure that there is enough protection for the family, whether we are here today or not. Simple. And it is not just today, but into the future long-term care. Because when in future, when that need comes, insurance companies or no entity is going to cover, because it is already, what is insurance? It is about managing the unpredictable, a risk. It is not a certainty. So once it is a certainty, then there's no, you will have to essentially pay for it. Then emergency fund, we need to take care of that. We already talked about at least about 6 to 12 months. Then safety investments. Think about all those things, your house and your guaranteed returns and your tax exempt, some of these vehicles, which if you're not, we will see a peak of it a little bit. So we need to build this income, which is a little more safer in the sense. Then go and build great wealth in market portfolios. Again, we need to understand what kind of risk we are taking there also. Is it that we are going to just go ahead and buy whatever we hear, the exotic stocks? Today they are high flying. People tend to forget .com was not all that back. It was just about 20 years back. Some of those companies were flying at $300, $400. They just evaporated into thin air. Today, we have this lot of technology companies flying very high compared to the .com. These are having solid revenues and returns. But again, the basic evaluation models have gone out of the window. We are talking in terms of multiples of 300, 400, or even much higher than that. So tomorrow when there's a correction, and as an individual investor, if you are going to be panicked, then your wealth can be quickly like gambled away. 100,000, there's a correction, 50,000, 25,000, and then we panic and sell it, and then just only to see that it comes back, whatever. Bottom line, there needs to be a proper planning and a stable, head, and we need to, engage in those with the money that we can afford. There should be solid investments, which is going on a date continuously month after month. And there can be some part of it which you can engage in the a higher risk portfolios. Now, a few words about the importance of life insurance per se. Why is it important, and how much do we need? Life insurance can help protect our loved ones, which we already talked about it. And it depends on what kind of money I bring into the table, because that is what is determining the lifestyle my family is having today. And that's what will ensure future lifestyle if I continue to bring that money. So if I'm gone, we need to calculate what is that I otherwise would have brought in. Normally, suggestion is about, if you are anywhere under 40, 45, about 15 times of your annual revenue or your wages can be a broad indicator of some basic protection. If you're above 50, 55, about 10 times. But then we need to add to that your other liabilities. What are they? Your house mortgage and your kids' college education and any other loans and other debts you may have. And combine all these will determine what kind of protection you need. Lot of us lot of our people, when I'm sitting there and doing this financial planning, we are absolutely ignoring the importance of this. Even people who make huge ton of money, we do not hesitate to pay $3,000 to a car insurance, a car which costs about 30 to 40,000, because either you have a teenager or otherwise two people or a couple of tickets, because you're forced to, you are aware of it. But the same individual in 30s is not paying attention, not covering himself. $1 million may cost about 800 to 700 to 800 or 1200. Why? We think that either ignorance or we think that nothing will happen, like a confidence, unless somebody points out, okay, look at this GoFund message in WhatsApp. Did that couple ever think about that in their 30s about leaving an 80-year-old behind? What if they have not taken care of proper protection and all? So please pay attention to this. It is very important. Why is it important? When you are young, protecting is like buying a pre-IPO blue chip stock, like whether it's Amazon or Facebook or you name any of that, because the companies have not grown, they're absolutely no problem and all. But when it is huge, the cost of buying it is at 3,000, 4,000 and all. Whereas same thing, as we grow old, we become mature, high risk, so it becomes, the cost becomes very high. Now, this one impact, I talked about it previously, the impact of losses and all. When you are building wealth, we should be aware the impact of losses on our portfolio. If there is a 50% loss, you need a 100% gain to just break even. Not same 50% gain will only put you only 3/4 of the way. And one more thing we already saw in the example of the twins is cost of waiting. One identical twin waited for 6 years. He had to invest 6 times more to get the same result. Put it in a different way. Here is an example. For example, we want to build $1 million worth. When we have 40 years to build that wealth, I need to, contribute only $655 per month to build $1 million nest egg. At what is the assumption? Here is just a 5% assumption. We're taking a very, very conservative example without any risk, right? 5% over the period of that time. Now, if I have 30 years, my 650 I need to double that, 1,200. If I'm another 10 years, I need to double again to invest about 2,400 to build the same amount of $1 million at 5%. Look at it. If I have only 5 years, I need to invest $14,700 per month to build that $1 million nest egg. So what is the message? Message is simple. The moment we get the job, our kids, educate our kids. The moment you get a job, think a portion of money you did not get in addition to your 401k, start putting away, stashing away a portion of money and ensure that you get a decent return of 5 to 12%. You build a great wealth. Now, when we are talking about building wealth, one thing we need to understand is where is that money and what is the impact of market performance. I'm a 20-year-old. I have no problem whether market is up or down over a period of time. I consistently invest, no problem. So what it says is here, the long-term accumulation phase is not affected by investing sequence of the returns. When I'm investing, whether I'm bear market or bull market, no problem, because I have a long term, we end up at the same time because the cycles are similar over a period of 40, 50 years. However, when I retire, the sequence of withdrawals has a huge impact on my nest egg. Look at these two examples. One person retiring in a bull market, another person retiring in a bear market. Both of them are taking 5% withdrawals from their account. All right. When you retire in a bull market, the account 401k or your nest egg loss long time, 30, 35 years. But in a bear market like 2008 to 2012, basically market was absolutely didn't go anywhere, all the way down. It only started going up after 2014 or so, right? Then the money, money that is withdrawn is gone. Once the money is gone out, when the market bounces back, that money is not there to grow. So how do I ensure that, because I don't have a control when I'm going to retire. When I'm retiring, I don't know whether COVID is going to hit or some other exotic stuff or some man-made, another CDO's exotic financial instruments, or God knows what it is. How do I then ensure that my retirement lasts forever? Interestingly, there are strategies available. And those strategies will be helpful only when we have knowledge. I pride myself that I take a lot of interest knowledge in the financial markets and investments and all that. But 2 years back, when I came across a strategy, it blew my mind away. Simple strategy. There's nothing great to say until somebody points it out. Only when you know that, oh, it's as simple as that. But in order for that to work, we need to put that plan in in motion quite in advance. Now, we have another 15 minutes or so coming up. So we talked about basically protecting, having the foundation stronger, and understanding the risk, managing the risk, and also knowing when we are going to retire, and the impact of the return on your investments and impact of losses and all. One more thing we need to understand is our nest egg should be, our wealth should be diverse. What is diversification? It is not just between different companies. It is not between different funds. It is multiple things. What is? Different companies, different industries, different regions, and different asset classes. Not necessarily stocks, bonds, or ETFs, not just financial instruments, insurance related, real estate related, and precious metals, you name it. Our wealth should be diverse, so that any one particular asset class, if it is impacted, any one particular region that is impacted, any one particular company that is impacted, will not have an adverse effect on our well-being, financial well-being. So no, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify, diversify, diversify. And also one thing, this is the most important. Most of us tend to ignore that because we tend to think that we are much more capable of taking the risk without consideration to age. When we are young, as we showed in that graph previously, we have time to bounce back. But when we are nearing the retirement, or if you are already in the, you may not have time to recoup your losses if they are all in those exotic instruments or stocks. So financial experts and all the, wherever your 401k is there, there are tools available, whether it's Fidelity or Franklin Templeton or any of those. They do recommend certain kinds of mix with the age. So what is the accumulation phase? What is the transition phase? And then what is the distribution phase? And how do my growth funds to income funds to fixed income annuities or other stuff. So we need to have an understanding of that. I cannot be 100% in the small cap stocks even in my 50s or 60s. I can be that in my younger age when I'm 20s, because I really don't worry about it. But we need to pay attention to that as well. Bottom line is, pay attention to this, how our asset allocation is over a period of lifetime. Then we know that in addition, some of the other concepts are, in order to build great wealth, stick to a proven methodology, stick to the great companies, great industries, great sectors. And if you have time on your side, do what is called a dollar cost averaging. What is that? Today, if I believe that Facebook or some other company or some other sector is amazing, and if I start investing tomorrow, when it goes down, if there is a short-term pullback, I should actually continue the same amount of allocation, or actually if I have capacity, you double that. Thereby you are acquiring more of that asset at a lower cost. So when it bounces back, we are better off. This is one of the simple concepts of dollar cost averaging. But beware that the dollar cost averaging is with solid institutions and sectors, not chasing some fly-by-night operators or that exotic companies. And again, depending on your age, what kind of strategies that you have in place, defense strategies versus offense strategies to build wealth. What are the defense strategies mechanisms? Money market. Basically, money is in a cash position. I'm almost ready to retire. Then I should be ready to have that money, certain amount of money for certain number of years readily available. CDs. Nowadays, CDs, or maybe whatever, 2%, 3% is pretty solid, guaranteed by the companies, depending on, again, their rating. Savings accounts, fixed annuities, bonds, these are all basically defense strategies, instruments, which are guaranteed to give you money. But what are the challenges with that? The low risk is the guarantee, that is a pros, and market volatility does not impact any of this. So those are the pros. Cons is very low returns, right? And if you are looking at inflation, and if you are getting only 2% return, inflation is 3% return, then your money is basically losing value. So those are the things you need to. But offensive strategy is you have the ability to take additional risk, and you are able to invest and grow the wealth. Your stocks, mutual funds, variable annuities, variable products, and real estate, all this. What are the pros? Great potential to build great wealth, and what do you call, you can really build good wealth over a lifetime if you are consistent about it, and it is much higher than your inflation. You help money grow your money, and what do you call, you can have your wealth which will outlast your what do you call long retired life. The cons, risk. Manage risk. Risk is the greatest thing that we worry about that. Now, on the next few slides, as we are wrapping up, we will see a few of the solutions, custom solutions and all. This is no way recommending any one particular product or anything, just to give an idea that there are different things that are available for us to open our eyes and think about it, in addition to buying your primary home, secondary investment home, and your 401k or brokerage account. These are some of them. One is called it's called an Index Universal Life. It is called Swiss Army knife of financial instruments. It provides permanent protection, capital gains tax, and tax-free income, and downward market protection, and it gives you up to certain percentage of up to high return linked with market performance. And if your kids are for college ready, most of the wealth that you build outside is visible. Any wealth that is built using this is not visible when you file the FAFSA application. Actually, 2-3 weeks later, we are going to have a session on college planning. I strongly recommend all of you to attend that. It's a huge deal. She is very good, and we'll go more in detail that. And this IUL we call, as I said, wealth building vehicle without market risk. It is tax exempt, giving life and long-term care protection. As you can see here, even when the index is down, this one is stable, because they guarantee that when the index is performing negative, they protect your wealth at absolutely not losing a penny. And when the market bounces back, they give you up to certain percentage, up to about 13-14%, not 30, 40, 50% exotic, right? Over a long period of time, 1928 onwards, the stock market has returned about 6.5% on it, when you take overall performance, whereas this one is close to about 7.4%, including the valleys and all counted, taken into consideration. What is most important is, in addition to building that, anytime your wealth is in stock market is not going to guarantee your life protection, long-term care protection. This one gives those two. And any wealth that is you build is tax exempt. You don't need to worry about when you cash out paying taxes on that. So one of the very powerful tools, especially tailored for wealthy people by the Congress or by the IRS. Definitely one of the tools meant for wealthy people. Examples, some of the same whole life, universal life, variable universal life, index universal life, these features and all we can know more. And continuing on some of the other examples is generating a pension kind of guaranteed in your retirement. Now think about it, pensions have basically disappeared, right? But can I build my own pension? Absolutely. With IUL 1, second guaranteed an annuity part of it. This one is more for the folks who have built certain wealth and they have that money ready, additional money sitting in the checking account, cash accounts and all. They are not ready to take any kind of risk and they're stashing it away as a rainy fund or otherwise. So this is more suitable from that point, essentially because it gives you, you can, tailor it in such a way that you get anywhere from 5, 6, 7%, depending on how you tailor it to how long you are going to keep that fixed amount of fund given to the insurance company. 10 years, 15 years, I am 45, 50, I need my checks, pension check coming only when I am 65 or 70. It's a great way to build. A small tiny percent we need to, so that it takes care of that, whatever your property taxes or your health check, insurance premiums or your mortgage or your living expenses. If we can ensure that guaranteed, I'm going to need about $2,000. If I can guarantee that $2,000 is covered by Social Security or annuity fixed, then I'm much more comfortable. That is a bulletproof plan, because this one guarantees for a lifetime, just like a Social Security. Now, do not forget, after doing all those building wealth and planning for this, long-term care. Long-term care is one of the deadliest landmines in our planning, in our path to securing our financial future. Why? Almost about 7 out of 10 people are anticipated to require this so-called long-term care. What is long-term care? It's not the just medical care of Medicare providing. Long-term care, as you can see, is needing additional external help in case we are not able to perform any of the 2 daily activities which are listed here: bathing, continence, dressing, eating, toileting, transferring. Any 2, either because of accident, either because of illness, or because of just pure old age. And in addition, cognitive impairment automatically qualifies. That means we are not able to live our life, we need external help. Medicare does not provide the coverage for this. Medicare provides only 100 days. A lot of people, 98% of people are not aware. Medicare covers only 100 days of long-term care. And any other medical coverage also, Medicare is giving only 80%. So this is important. How do we cover? There are pure policies to cover only long-term care. There are policies, IUL is one example where you can add on as a rider, buying that coverage. Or now insurance industry has come out with just purely guaranteeing a long-term care coverage without losing the money you have. So they basically guarantee you change your mind, okay, they are ready to give back because you are giving them basically a tax-free or interest-free loan. It's there are powerful tools that are available. This is a must if we have to secure our future. It is estimated that if a person ends up in a long-term care facility, anywhere from 2 to 6 years is the average span they spend. And by the way, in both East Coast, West Coast, it is a highly expensive. In Midwest, it is a little less. But today's cost is about 20 to 25,000 for a full nursing care facility. I'm talking from my personal experience of family, wherein it is growing about 6% cost. So by the time, whatever time you estimate you need it, 75 or 80 years, unless you plan today, that is going to be not just an emotional burden on the family, but also a financial burden. So this is a huge deal that everybody should understand the concept part of it. and do the planning before it is too late. Now, with that, we are coming to the end of, so basically what we said is these are the comprehensive planning, financial. To recap, the financial planning should cover these things: cash flow, debt management, emergency fund, proper protection, building wealth, and preserving wealth. And so put it in a different way, these are the different areas that our comprehensive plan should cover. Each one of them, we are going to have different sessions coming up in the next few weeks sequentially. For example, estate planning, very high level view of estate planning is ensuring that your wealth that you build, including how it should be taken care, and yourself, your kids, how they should be taken care should something go wrong. So if there is no trust that is established, and if there is no will which guides that your estate should be, how it should be, managed, then government appointed court, court appointed judge will be managing that. And the kids, then they can be given to a foster care until the court appointed judge decides where they should be. In addition, any money wealth that is built will be transferred to them by the time, the moment they are 18, the adults. So do we think they will be ready by the time they are 18? Or do you want to plan in such a way that they get the control of the estate over a period of time, and they should be taken care by our own family members or friends whom we trust? So that is very important. There's a huge concept, total 1 hour session on that. We'll talk about it in detail. Life assets, how do we protect the various, we already saw a little bit, and there are a few more sessions on that. Again, retirement planning, what kind of growth we need to plan, what are the different strategies in detail. I just touched upon those today. College planning, how do we fund college education is one of the most costliest. Today, we are getting education at absolutely free till about school, right? 10+2. But after that, it has become super expensive for people to afford it. How do we plan it? One of the things we have is 529. 529 is a great vehicle if we are bringing a lot of wealth into, because there is no way to hide it, and 529 gives a tax exempt growth, perfect. But what if there are other solutions that are available? What strategies should I put in place? When I file FAFSA application, what are the things that we need to talk about it? What is called family contribution to the college funding? Those are the different areas and strategies, and what needs to be looked. We have the session coming up in the next few weeks. If you're already signed up, please make a note to attend without missing. Again, tax, we had a session last week, tax, how to basically a discussion on the taxation, but this entire concept of this wealth building is about taxation as well. Our wealth, if it is being built in the brokerage account or your investment properties which you flip, is in a tax now category. Tax later, your brokerage, your 401k account, and how you are able to postpone IRAs or otherwise is a tax later category. So that government is giving, IRS is giving some kind of cushion now and not charging on your seed money, but they are ready to take the taxes on the harvest. Think about it. If you are making a contribution of 20,000, 19,500, 20,000, you are in the tax bracket today about 18% to 22%, about 20%. So you are getting a 20% of 20,000, about 4,000 benefit. That's it, right? And that is growing for next 30, 35 years. When that grows into that huge harvest or a period of time, when you start withdrawing, you are expected to pay your current taxation on that. A lot of us think that in my retirement, I'm not going to pay taxes. Really? We are wealth builders. So we need to ensure that we need to understand that there is a huge taxation that is coming up. I already showed you how our internal debt ballooned from about $8 trillion just from 2008 to today of $27 trillion is expected to go to $30 trillion. So where is that money going to come? We need to plan for that, right? And by the way, Clinton administration, when Clinton was moving out of the office, he said they were thinking of talking about paying off entire debt. That is in 2000. And today we are at we are talking about $30 trillion. And what do you call debt payment ratio is about hitting about 104% GDP to debt payment ratio. Now, next concept is your how do you build your wealth? What kind of returns you should get? What kind of risk? How do you manage and all? So finally, to sum it up, the great wealth can be built with great planning, securing our financial future. It does not happen automatically. It needs some work and consistent planning, and every year reviewing and ensuring that we cover our bases. And this is a small effort to bring to Samasti and other audience that we are trying to open up a thought process and a dialogue and discussion that there are different aspects that we need to learn, know. So recommendations: have financial education, ensure adequate life protection, and focus on long-term financial goals, not tomorrow's exotic stock. Maintain a well-diversified portfolio. Nibble the quality assets or stocks when they're on sale. Diversify, both sectors, asset classes and all. Rebalance portfolios. Build wealth using tax-exempt vehicles like IUL and all. Build annuity income, which is guaranteed income for the lifetime. Don't be worried about it only gives me 4% return. You need to allocate certain portion of it because that is guaranteeing you for a lifetime. Yes, you want to build 10 times in the stock market, go and build it. But don't put everything in the risky portfolio. That's what the message is. And then ensure that you have a portion of your wealth built in the real estate as well, right? Now, what are the questions? Find answers to these questions with your personal financial strategies. How do I save for my kids' college education? Am I on track for safe and secure retirement? Ask these questions. Am I saving enough? What will be my likely 401k at my retirement? How to maximize my social security benefits? By the way, there are 2 sessions that are coming up on healthcare in retirement as well as social security, totally complete topics by itself. It is very important depending on what stage in your life, doesn't matter. Social security and medical healthcare in the retirement are a huge deal. We are bringing an industry expert from one of the Fortune insurance industry So don't miss those 2 classes. Then, how much do I need to plan for long-term care? Is it that so expensive, or if I plan early enough, there is, how do I do it? Then what will be my monthly income in retirement? Yeah, how much money do we need, and how do I, is there a gap? Is there an income gap? If there is an income gap, how do I build that? How to build that wealth, build wealth without market risk and without tax consequences. Now, this is me, and basically bringing this to Samasti with active help from Leela Prasad Garu. With that, we come to the end of today's presentation. It's about 9:09. We have time left for questions if we have any. I'm open to question answer session. Leela Prasad Garu, do you have any questions or in the chat?
Yeah, I don't have the question yet, but so anyone who has the questions on the YouTube channel, please ask in the chat, and we'll get answers for you.
I know I have, there's a lot of information that I have covered, essentially from the point of giving information rather than just how do I file my taxes or what it is. So, but still, if you have any specific questions, please post it in the chat.
So Azad, can you briefly talk about wills, trusts, and all?
Say that again.
Can you briefly talk about wills, trusts?
Okay. So one second, give me, so here we have one more chat, I think. Okay, there's no question as such. Okay. Will and trust, basically that is part of the estate planning. And trust is a legal entity which will control your assets, your estate that you're going to build. Will is a legal document in which we will specify how my assets or my estate will be managed. And in case of something going wrong, if I'm not able to take any medical decisions and I'm lying in the bed or people are, so what should happen to them? If most people may recall, Terry, I think Terry Chavo, I think her name, husband thought she, instead of being in the bed as a vegetable forever on a pipe, on a feeding tube, she should be let go. Parents were, on the other hand, were fighting, no, we want to keep her alive. The case has all the way gone to Supreme Court. So those are the medical decisions, advance directives and all. Then comes the question of kids. Should something go wrong, it doesn't matter if you have your brother next door or if your sister living in the next city, unless you specify that who should care for your kids, the government appointed, court appointed judge will be deciding based on the history, profile, and ensuring and asking all ton of it can take forever. So these are the things that we can avoid by having a trust in place and or documenting your will and wishes and what needs to happen. Think about it. If, as I said, the kids, if they're underage kids and all, you don't know whether your long lost cousin is the only one nearby available and what kind of relationship you have, no idea, but the court sees the lineage and all, okay, the cousin is the closest one, that is, so he will be the guardian. Whereas your great family friend whom you trust may be living next door is the right person to take care. So those are the things that we need to put in place. A lot of us, 98% of us are not doing that. So it is important for us to ensure that we put this on the topic, calendar, and ensure that the trust is established. Trust is not between you and me. It is a legal entity, just like a company corporation. And all the assets are managed by that, whether your real estate or financial assets will be held in the trust. And what needs to happen in case something goes wrong to you and how the kids should be taken care of. It's automatically the spouse will be the one who will be getting the control of assets or kids. But if something goes wrong to both the people, that's when it is very, very important. Does that answer, or do we have any other question?
So that's all I have.
Okay, I have one question here. How much can we contribute towards 401k? If you are above 50, how much can you contribute? Some employers cover trust participation. It costs nothing for us to prepare trust if we get a correct. So coming to 401k, as you all know, it is very easy. You can Google it, 19,500 if you are under 50. And there's a catch-up contribution that is allowed by the IRS if you're above 50, another 6,500. So that is what you can contribute. And your companies can match based on whatever they're giving, whether 4%, 6%, 7%, dollar for dollar, or 50 cents, that is an additional. If you do not contribute, a lot of companies have restrictions, they don't match it. So ensure that that free money is taken care of. And if you're able to contribute additional. And if your company offers, like I know for some companies like Franklin Templeton and a few others, they offer Roth 401k. If your financial situation helps you and you can take Roth 401k, I do recommend doing that. Why? You don't get the tax benefit now, but your money grows forever without any tax implication. Coming to, okay, what is catch-up and contribution? That is basically giving you a chance to contribute more if you're above 50 years. Coming to what do you call trust participation. A lot of good companies are providing what is called a legal services. You contribute per pay cycle anywhere from $5 to $10, and those are legal services. If you get into any legal issues and all are taken covered by that, and the trust service fees is covered to an extent. They don't give everything. If you go to some of the good people, they charge about 2,000, 3,000. It basically your benefit may limit some amount, but it's good to have. And okay, that's all I have. Any other questions, anybody? Okay, I'll give 1 more minute for anyone to ask any questions. Otherwise, you'll be getting back your 14 minutes of Thursday night time. And also, please feel free, and actually, we do encourage you to drop a line or come. I'll send some feedback if you are having any specific topics in mind that you want to learn more about it, or you want to learn in depth about this. Please do get in touch with me or Leela Prasad Garu. This is my contact information. And I said schedule financial strategy, personal financial strategy session. Basically, that what I talked about it is that is doing a trend analysis into the future when we are retiring. What kind of gaps are there, and what are the areas that we need to cover? And if there is a gap, how do we protect? And if there is no gap, what is the potential of tax issues and all? How do we? So all that it's no obligations whatsoever. Not. It is essentially a free consultation for people attending this session, these seminars.
Thank you very much. This has been a very informative session. I think we have learned a lot in this 1 hour. Very good informative session. And hopefully we'll be having much more good sessions coming forward. And
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much once again from on behalf of Samasti. And we will talk.
Thank you, Leela Prasad Garu. Thank you. This is Samasti.
And the next class is going to be estate planning. So a week from now, we will be having estate planning coming up. Again, Azad Armullah would be presenting upon the estate planning.
Yes, I'll be diving deep into the various concepts of estate planning and how to tackle them and what needs to happen, and basically to give a complete understanding of that. So please mark your calendars and attend that. With that, unless you have something else, Leela Prasad Garu, it has been an honor and a pleasure to come on board and do these sessions. We look forward for a lot of collaboration and educate more and more people from Samasti and everywhere else.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Good night.